Okay, I'd like to speak about 3 tenses today. I'd like to speak about past simple, which is the second form. So of do, it's did, of go, it's went, and of have, it's had. Past simple is used for finished moments. We know when. That's the most important thing to remember. We know when with past simple. Okay, if we don't know when, we may use present perfect simple, or we may use present perfect continuous. We use them in different situations. So, present perfect simple we use for general life experiences. We don't know when these experiences happen, and we often are talking about someone's life in general. What does that mean? Well, it means, for example, when you say, have you been to France? You mean ever in your whole life. Have you ever been to France? And so present perfect simple is about a long period in the past that continues into the present. Have you been to France means have you ever been to France? But we could ask some other questions like this. We could say, have you read this book? Have you seen this film? Have you seen Titanic? Have you read War and Peace? We're talking about in your whole life, have you read War and Peace? Or in your whole life, have you seen Titanic? So present perfect is about your whole life, not single moments when we know when. So if you want to make this sentence become past simple, you need to say when. You need to say, did you go to France last week? Last week means you must use past simple. Last week is when, and when is a signal to use past simple. So, did you go to France last week? Okay? If we know when, we use past simple. If we're talking about someone's whole life, we use present perfect simple. Secondly, we use present perfect simple or continuous with things which happened in the past which have a result now, a result often which you can see. So perhaps you say something like this. Perhaps you did your homework last night and you have it in your hand and you say, look teacher, I have done my homework, here it is. So you must say, I have done. This is a past action with a present result. I have done my homework. However, if the result which you can see was unintended, if the result was unintentional, it was accidental, this means you didn't want to do it, you didn't do it on purpose, it just happened. It's a side effect. You can also say a side effect of the action. So for example, you say, you look dirty. Have you been playing football? Something like that. Being dirty is not what you wanted to become, it's unintended. But it is the result of your action, playing football. So you look dirty. Have you been playing football? But there are many other examples. So you look wet. Has it been raining? Your eyes are, well, you are crying. Have you been arguing with your boyfriend? Something like that. You can see the unintended side effect. Okay, then we use present perfect continuous. However, I want to now speak about one more thing. Finished periods and unfinished periods. Finished periods are past simple because they're finished. The main thing about past simple is we know when, and they are finished moments. They're finished. Present perfect is unfinished periods of time. So, you can say, I was married for 5 years, then I got divorced. So, past simple always looks the same on our timeline. It's either like this. I was married for 5 years. That's a 5-year period, but it's a finished period. Then I got divorced. That's the next thing that happens. Then I met another person. Then I fell in love again. These are finished moments in your life. or finished periods, so they must be past simple. For unfinished periods of time, which look like this, we could use present perfect simple or present perfect continuous. We use simple with stative verbs. Very important to remember, stative verbs. They are not used in any continuous tense, not present continuous or present perfect continuous. You must use stative verbs in simple. Stative verbs are believe, understand. They're emotional or mental states. So believe, understand, know, or like, love and hate. These are emotional states. You don't say, I am loving you, you say, I love you. And McDonald's are wrong when they say, I'm loving it. It's bad grammar. I think they do it on purpose to perhaps appeal to the children. But you have to say, you have to use this verb in simple forms. And so stative verbs, which are unfinished in the moment, for example, I have known him for 3 years. I've known him for 3 years. Never say I have been knowing. However, with non-stative verbs, we often use present perfect continuous for unfinished periods of time. So live isn't a stative verb. So you can say, I've been living here for 3 years. I've been living here for 3 years. Or I've been driving since I was 18. I've been driving since I was 18. Okay. Now, one more thing I should mention. There are some signal words to help you. So some words which mean you always use past simple. The words which mean you always use past simple are about when. For example, ago. 10 years ago, we know when. The word when tells us when, so that should be here as well. And dates, 1993. Times, 3:15. Days, like yesterday or last week, last year. They must be past simple, because we know when. Most important thing to remember with past simple, we know when. Present perfect simple has got some other signal words. Already, yet. They both refer to an unfinished period, and that's why they're present perfect simple. They are never continuous, and neither, well, you might see just sometimes being used in continuous, but I think it's usually simple. So already, yet, and just, I would just use as signal words for simple. Okay? Simple answers the question, how many times? That's one more thing to remember, how many times? So if you say how many times you have read a book, you need to use present perfect simple. I have read this book twice. But if you say how long, you use continuous. How long, the duration. That's continuous, which often answers it. Not always. In these two questions we're asking how long. How long have you been living here? I have been living here for 3 years. How long have you been driving? I've been driving since I was 18. These are how long. But if the question is how long but involves a stative verb, then we use simple. How long have you known him? I have known him for 3 years. Okay? So if you have any questions about any of this information, please write below the video your questions and I'll happily answer them. There should be a quiz on my website very soon, if not already. So please try the quiz, and I hope that this has helped your understanding of these tenses. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.